Where the love go? 5, 4, 3, 2, I let one go.
Happy January 2024. Our first short year. I know, Happy New Year. How long can you say that before it becomes like, okay,
January at least.
Okay. Well, you know, our colleague Latoya, our colleague Monica, she and I were having a conversation, and she said, you know, I'm thinking next year I'm going to take off January, because January you have this post-holiday blues, you have, you know, the everything you've pushed off. Well, let's just deal with that in the first of the year, and now it's the first of the year. And I've had many conversations inside our organization, outside our organization, friends, family, and there's a common thread of just bleh. And so, as you know, I think our last show of the year, it seemed only fitting that we start our first show with really looking at that etui, that's just sweet spelled backwards, to figure out how we can tackle this story around well-being, living your best self, best version of yourself. And so Latoya and I have with us in the suite today, Miss Consuelo Senior. Is it Senior or Senior? I kind of want to, your name is too fabulous to just be Senior.
You can say it however you want to.
Senior.
So welcome to Short and Sweet. Let's just start right off. Fantastic name. What does Consuelo mean?
It means comfort.
I love that. Consuelo, are you living into your name? How do you see yourself living into the meaning of Consuelo?
I absolutely do. I believe that I was called to speak into people's lives and help them to be at ease, bring peace, to bring alignment to their lives and help them to be more comfortable with who they are.
Mm-hmm. And you say you've been called. So tell me, what do you do in your calling? What is your day job?
My day job is as the assistant director of training, training for an organization called YAI. They've been around for over 60 years. This is my 27th year there. And I train staff in how to support people with intellectual and developmental disabilities and other neurodevelopmental disorders, such as autism, ADHD. I'll oversee our clinical trainings, also our sexuality trainings. I train nationally and internationally for the agency, and I develop curriculum.
Yeah, you're an educator, and I know you're a Jamaican. We're fellow Jamaicans, so I know you have a couple of side hustles there too. So tell me a little bit more about what you do on the side.
Yes, I represent Jamaica well. I am an educator. I actually I'm an educator from Jamaica. I went to Michael Teachers College. And I have been for the past 9 years. I've been an educator at City College and University. I teach disability-related courses, so disability and social issues, disability from a global perspective, disability and family life cycle, and I teach social welfare courses. I am also the CEO and founder of Inspire Consulting LLC, where I'm a life coach. I'm a Christian life coach. I am a disability expert and an intimacy coach.
Gee, I need more jobs.
I am also a travel agent. I am an independent travel agent. I focus on luxury travel, and I help other people who want to have their own business as well.
Yeah. I want to go back to the word that you said, calling. So there's definitely something larger than, hey, I just woke up one day and said, hey, I want to do this as a career. So tell me a little bit about the why. What's motivating you? What's driving you to do what you do? Because it's a tough job, at dealing with mental health and mental illness.
Absolutely. And I've been a psychotherapist for the past 18 years. I've been, I provide psychotherapy for people with intellectual disabilities who also have a mental illness, as well as people who don't. I've worked in a shelter. I've worked with people with who don't have IDD. And what I like to think that this field called me, it's a perfect combination of my vocation and my talents. I am a Christian. I believe in mental health in the church, and that's something that I'm really focused on now. But just the opportunity to help people to move into a space of healing, whether it is internally for themselves, personally, in terms of psychotherapy. But now I'm really focused on mental wellness, is being proactive mental wellness. Because when you're focused on your mental wellness, it helps you to not have to address an illness sometimes.
Yeah.
Ooh, let's dive a little bit more into that, because you're a lot of what your organization does is towards more of the more severe chronic. What about more acute types of mental illness or mental well-being? As we think about for folks that may not even recognize that they are potentially struggling with something, or something's off, and may not know it, or know it and may not feel comfortable addressing it.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I always look at, right? We go to the doctor every year and we get a physical checkup. When do we get a mental checkup? When do we get an emotional checkup? So we'll never know that we are ill, right?
Mhm.
So you should be. One of the first things is awareness. There are lots of things that's online, but when you go to your doctor, say, hey, I would like a mental checkup. Being aware, emotional intelligence is also something that I train on growth mindset. And what I would say is, if something is not working, check it out. If you're driving a car and you hear something knocking under the bonnet, don't you stop and go check it out, see what's going on? So if you realize that you're not liking things that you used to like to do, something ain't right. If you realize that you're snapping at people all the time, something is not right. It's impacting your work, something is not right. Check it out.
I've never heard of this mental health checkup. Like, what does that look like? How do I request that of my doctor?
Just say, Doc, I would like a mental health checkup. You can get, and then he'll probably ask you, or she will probably ask you, well, what's going on for you? Yeah, I don't know. I'm tired. The holidays, I don't want to go to work. It's so cold. We know that there is seasonal affective disorder, right? That happens around fall, because the days are dreary, and the days are shorter. And so people are not outside as much, and the stress of the holidays, and it impacts us. Now, anything that's going to impact our minds will impact our bodies. So like you said, Robin, so maybe you're not realizing that something is up with the mind, but then something is wrong with the body. My body's hurting more, right? So when you go to the doctor, say, Doc, I don't know. I just don't feel myself. Can I, and he may do that assessment, or he may say, do you want to go to a psychiatrist? Now I know there's a stigma around a psychiatrist and around therapy, right? However, a therapist is the person who is that objective person. Therapists don't take sides. There's also no one size fits all. So if you go to speak to a therapist and this isn't a fit, go to another one, just like you get a second opinion and third opinion. The most important thing is that you have a place where you can go, blah, and it's not judgmental.
Yeah.
I want to
Millennials.
Wow. I want to figure out how to spell that. Yeah, I think that's spot on. And often being in healthcare, often, what I tell people is that you would never in a million years, someone who was diagnosed with cancer or some other physical disease, tell someone to, snap out of it and downplay that. And man, I can't wait for the day where mental illness, mental health is viewed as any other illness, regardless of how acute or potentially how chronic it is.
Absolutely. And what we think, and my pastor always says this, right? But as a cognitive behavioral therapist, we also know this. Your thoughts impact your emotions impact your actions impact your habits, and your habits impact your character. It starts with your thoughts. What are you thinking? We can't control what comes in our minds, but we have every control over what stays and how we think. In terms of, are you thinking positive? Are you thinking in a growth mindset, or is it a fixed mindset? When something doesn't go well for you, are you thinking, oh, that's just me, and that's all I ever do? Or do you look at it and say, okay, this didn't work. Let me see if there's another way, and use it as an opportunity to learn something else. When a coworker is being promoted, do you see that as, oh, they're just not looking at me and I can't, Or do you see it as an incentive to say, hey, let me work a little harder. Let me see what they did. Let me talk to them.
I love that. Oh my goodness. I love that. So so can we just click a little bit more on this growth mindset versus a fixed mindset? Give another example about how, what a response to something, what a growth mindset how they might react versus a fixed mindset.
So you have trainings in the agency, right? I'm going to go straight from a training perspective. And someone says, hey, I've been in this agency for 10 years. What else are you going to train me on? I don't, there's nothing else I need to know. I'm tired of hearing. That's I know it already. That's a fixed mindset. A growth mindset says, you know what? Even if it's the same training, there may be something that I missed the last time. And maybe there's something new that I can then try. Mm-hmm. Right? What lens are you looking through life, work? There could be somebody who is the difference between a perfectionist, somebody who have to always get it right, or somebody who pays attention to details.
Oof. I can be both.
Right. And it's that flexibility of being able to go back and forth between the two, right? I think there are certain times in life when you need to be a little bit more of a perfectionist and a little bit more the other times when you need to be, a little bit more open.
And you know what? I wouldn't call it a perfectionist, because when you call it a perfectionist, it means it must be perfect. Should it be perfect or should it be right?
Yeah.
Right for that moment, or effective for that particular time. And I think the good thing is that you can always grow, right? They had the old saying that you can't teach an old dog new tricks. That ain't true, right? You can create new neural pathways in your brain, and you can learn new things.
Consuelo, you're talking about a major mindset shift, right? Somebody who's kind of like the Igor, the grumpy person who wakes up every day and thinks that, there's their own personal rain cloud over their head. I think there's a huge shift that needs to happen inside their mind mentally to go from the clouds to sunshine. What other tips do you have for how to help people shift mindsets? Everything starts with awareness. So if they're not aware that this is a challenge, it'll never change. So the first thing is the mindset. The second thing is, every day you get up, you get to choose your mood. You get to choose. You get to put on happiness. You choose happiness. Put it on, yeah. Right? And how you start that day saying, I know challenges may come, but even though they come, I'm still grateful that I have a job to go to. And how are you? So you're preparing your mind. Starts in your mind. You're preparing yourself for going through the day, that yes, things may come because you're going to face reality, but I can get through it. There are people who can support me. And guess what? Even if that doesn't happen at the end of the day, I always encourage my patients to do two things. At the end of every day, one, identify something that you did very well and give yourself praise. We don't praise ourselves enough, right? Praise yourself. And then identify something that didn't go right and forgive yourself. We don't forgive ourselves either. We don't give ourselves grace. And then think about, so the next time, what can I do differently?
Wow.
The overly critical mind in me is always like, I always go to the negative first. I don't give myself grace for the failures and praise myself for the successes. I love that. Thank you for that nugget.
Oh my gosh. And like I said, this could be 8 topics. So, we need to have you back 8 more times. Now becomes one of my favorite parts of Short and Sweet. Rapid fire. So, you will have 60 seconds on the clock to answer as many questions. If you answer all the questions, you win an amazing prize. And so Latoya is going to kick off. I have the clock up and ready whenever you are ready to ask the first question. And go.
Are you ready, Consuelo? All right, here we go. First question. What is your favorite vegetable?
Favorite tomato. Cucumber. No, cucumber.
Okay.
Yes, I got to hate vegetables.
What is the best gift you've ever received?
It was actually a bag from my niece that had my name on it. I like things with my name on it.
If you win $1 million tax-free, do you tell anyone?
No.
What's the next location you want to visit?
Ooh, Africa. One of the countries in Africa. Actually, Senegal.
Oh, okay. What song do you have on repeat right now?
the new song by CCC Praise. It's called Favor. It's new by CCC Music.
Okay. All right. One word best describes you?
Unpredictable.
Time. Go ahead and answer that one. Go ahead and answer it.
You said
Unpredictable.
Unpredictable. Okay,
Yeah.
awesome.
I was thinking
Thinking through
eccentric.
all the questions, so you don't get to win the $1 million prize that we have for you. So this is the time where we like to talk about keys to the suite. You literally gave a ton of them, but I think one of them is, get that annual mental health checkup. Now, I know most providers will probably refer you out to someone. A stat that I had that's probably dated back when I was at Kaiser Permanente, 70% of all primary care visits should be a mental health visit. 70% should be a mental health visit. And we already know there's a shortage there. So, we'll put back up your information so people know how to find you. Another key to the suite is, everything starts with a mindset. The growth mindset, choosing your response to things is very intentional. I can choose to be angry, annoyed, or I can choose to have another response or reaction or behavior to that. You gave a lot. Adopt a growth mindset. One of my favorites. Fixed never gets you anywhere. And then praise and forgive yourself. Latoya, I'm gonna try to hold you accountable for that. Start with the praise first and give yourself some doggone grace. So, final thoughts. Do you have any, Consuelo or Latoya?
I have an extra question for Consuelo, actually. I know I'm going to try and squeeze this in there, but you talked a little bit about the stigma. And, as a woman of color, I think particularly for communities of color, there's a stigma around mental health and mental well-being. And anything that you have, your advice, your perspective on what's kind of getting in the way of people seeking the help that they need around mental health and mental well-being?
Because it's tied to who you are as a person. So either someone thinks you're lazy, somebody in your family did something, and but it's all negative. It isn't seen as health. We should have a holistic. In fact, you're not being completely healthy if you're not addressing your mind. We're mind, body, soul, spirit. We go to physical, we go to everything, but we don't address our mind. So then we're not really fully addressing healthcare if you're not including your mental health care.
Yeah, love it. I think that's a mic drop right there. The mind is part of your whole well-being, your whole health. Yeah.
So I'll share. So how we started with January is kind of this. Sorry for any January babies. It's kind of this catch-all month after the rat race of end of year. Like it starts with fall, holiday after holiday after holiday. Just I know I just took down my tree. I know Latoya's will be up for another 2 months.
Another 2 months.
But it's also I typically look at January as this month. And so adopting one of your keys to the suite around everything starts with the mindset. So I'm going to choose to have a different relationship with January. I'm going to choose to have a different relationship with January. So don't know what that is yet, but I'll choose that, and we'll have you back, and maybe I can share what I'm preparing for January 2025. Well, anything else you want to say before we wrap up?
I do. If you're not going to a doctor, there are tools online. Everything starts with awareness. You can download emotional intelligence. If you're going to emotional intelligence, there are awareness sheets. Do those assessments and see if something is off, because that's that first thing. And then go to a doctor. Go to somebody. Therapy is not for life. You can go to therapy for a period of time, but it can be helpful.
I love it. And with that,
5, 4, 3, 2, I let one go.
C5.